Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our webinar tonight tagged Japa for Educators. We're so glad to see you join us. Good evening, Shay. Good evening, Uzo. Good evening, Fadikemi. Good evening, Ojuolape. Good evening, Obimo. Good evening. So thank you everyone for joining so far. We can see that African time is going on. So we'll give our guests a couple minutes to join us. I'll introduce myself to start off first. My name is Dr. Joy Issa, and I am the current President and Programs Director at ISED, the Issa School of Education. It's an honor to be your host tonight to talk about what is going on in our world today, to talk about where we are as educators, Nigerian educators, and talk about the things that we need to do to help us review the status quo. This is a status quo with regard to the UK's recent publication to invite qualified teachers from a couple states across Africa to come over to the UK to support, to come over to the UK to get jobs. And obviously, whenever there's a call like this, it is because there are vacancies that need to be filled. We're quite aware that it isn't just about vacancies being filled. It's about understanding what needs to be done when you do arrive. Understanding whether this is the right time for you to move or not. Understanding what you need to know to help you move. And tonight, I think I have the best person to speak about this. My friend and sister, Mrs. Ivie Okwuegbuna, jackpot about 20 years ago. She jackpot about 20 years ago, and it is a pleasure to invite you, Ivie, to speak to us tonight.
Thank you, everyone. Good evening. It's a pleasure to be the co-host and to be able to share what I know about jackpotting to the UK. If I have to say that properly, yes.
Yes, exactly, jackpotting. And for those who aren't aware, I think most people are aware, but jackpotting is a Yoruba word that has now been popularized, meaning to take off, run away, to, like to flee, in a sense. And there have been lots of reasons why people are fleeing the country. People are looking for greener pastures. People are looking for better opportunities. But the question is, are the pastures really greener? And are the opportunities really better? So we're going to kind of frame our discussion around four big ideas or four big, discussion points. We'll look at ourselves, as people. Where are we in our lives? Are we in the right space to move? Is this the right time? What's going on? We'll examine that. Then we'll look at the qualifications required to move, qualifications, academic qualifications, and other qualifications. And then we'll move on to the school expectations. What are the expectations of these schools abroad? What skills do we need? What are the cultural nuances that apply? And then finally, we'll look at Ivie's, personal stories. We'll examine some of these stories. Stories, how did she deal with the finances of the issue? How can you as a person scale up? Because your entry level might not be as high as you want. Because people going in don't have, those who are interested in leaving are getting there without being qualified teachers. In terms of having a qualified teacher status in the UK, and we'll talk about that in detail. So these are like the four big areas we will touch on as much as possible. If you have questions, please post them immediately. You have them in the chat room. Even if we can't answer them now, we will go on and answer them. We can send you an email. We can have follow-up sessions with you, but we're happy to take your questions live. So let's start. Ivie. Who was Ivie when she was ready to japa, and why did Ivie japa in the first place?
Okay, so Ivie was a single 27-year-old teacher
Wow.
at where was I working? Okay, I was working in Grange. I was working in Grange at that time, and I just thought, look, I wanted something more for myself. And truth be told, I saw the pay slip of a colleague who'd come from the UK, and I had more teaching years experience than she did. And I thought, okay, this is a little bit too much. I'm going to push myself, and I'm going to get such qualifications and see where that takes me. And this was in 2001, and that was when I made the leap of faith.
So the pay was the attraction, and I think that's still the same attraction right now. The pay
Yes.
is better abroad. But
Yes.
when you speak in terms of pay, by the time you arrived, we'll talk in detail about that, how that pay kind of translated. So
Yes.
if I'm not single right now, I'm not single and I want to japa, what do I do? Do I just up and leave? What do I need to know? What are the family dynamics I need to consider?
I mean, as you know, it's a really big, broad step. And what I would say is, if you're with a partner, you're married, you've got children, I'm not quite sure how because the immigration status and the application, everything is a bit different. But I'll say when you do apply and you are granted your visa, or I'm not quite sure what it's called. When you are granted that, my suggestion will be whoever is the principal applicant to go first. You
Right.
go first, you get the job, you get paid, and you try and set things up for the family coming behind. It could be quite challenging if you all move as a family all at once. I mean, where are you going to stay? There are high costs of things. As much as the UK is very attractive in a lot of things, there are a lot of hidden costs that people probably don't think about. For example,
give us an idea. Yes, give us an idea,
okay,
please.
so for
because
example,
I'm a woman and I don't want to leave my children, for example. So what do I do?
Okay. So first of all, depending on the ages in which when you take the children, I'll start with the principal applicants coming over to the UK, and I'm going to rent a house. We can manage, we know how to manage. So you get yourself a 2-bedroom flat or a 2-bedroom maisonette. You're paying your rent, let's say, depending on where you are, £1,200. Apart from your rent, which is £1,200, you are also going to pay council tax. You are also going to pay your bills, your electricity, your gas. Those things are there. It's extremely cold at the moment. You cannot live in a house with no heating. Everyone will just fall sick. So those are things. So the 1,002 is there. The bills are there as well. The feeding is there. Your transportation to work is there. These are other things attached there. Then when the family comes, depending on what age your children are at, the schools here are from 8:45 to 3:45. A working parent who is a teacher, you have longer hours than that. So you probably need to take the children to someone's house, i.e. a childminder, who you have to pay to take the children to school, pick the children up from school before you come back from work. Just like it is in Nigeria, everybody goes, oh, you're a teacher, you work from so hours, but we all know that you have to stay longer for different reasons, planning, marking, meetings.
Wait. So
okay.
I cannot take my children to school when I get there at 7 and they wait with me. Isn't that a possible option?
No, because depending on the age of the children, if your children are not in your school, which is quite unlikely, you can't just bring your children with you to school. No, you can't do that.
Interesting.
There are lots of laws and insurance laws. If the child gets sick, falls down, something hits the child, different things around that. You can't do that. You have to separate your working life from your home life. They don't go hand in hand together. No.
Wow. Okay. This is becoming more interesting. All right. So what if I have a cousin, you know, someone at least to help me settle in. I have somebody that I can stay with while I kind of find my feet. I mean, can't we, as we do here, can't we manage and, you know, just stay with someone for a bit?
Well, let me put it this way. I'm working, okay, let's just assume I'm a single lady over here. I'm working and I get paid £2,000. My £2,000 is catering for all my bills, my rent, my tax and everything, all that is there. Now, an extra person coming to live with me is going to add to my bills, whether I like it or not, because everything here is very much calculated. Everybody learns that discipline of calculating, of budgeting, because no matter whatever you do, the next month your salary is still going to be the same. There's not going to be an increase. And there's nobody going to say, take this £500, because everybody is still fitting within their own budget. So yes, there are people who are accommodating. You can stay with people, but it will be very, very good for you to know as soon as you get your salary, move out. Because that person is thinking, I'm helping you out. As soon as you get on your feet and you get your salary, is either you contribute to what you're paying out of, or you get yourself your own place. You can't live with me. It's an unstated rule. You can't live with me and live off me while you're saving your salary.
And that happens a lot for us as, you know, Africans or Nigerians, where one cousin is sent to you, one nephew is sent to you, and they just come and stay in your house. So abroad, we can't do that. I mean, even the sizes of the homes are much smaller. So it will be a tight squeeze in a sense.
Yes, the more rooms in a house, the more rent you have to pay. Of course, a 2-bedroom flat or a 2-bedroom maisonette will be different from how much a 3-bedroom house, 3-bedroom flat, 3-bedroom maisonette will be. So I'm a single lady. I probably cannot even get a 2-bedroom flat, because what do I need it for? I just need one place to sleep. Yes.
Okay, so you said the principal applicant should go first, and then give some time, settle in, and then the main applicant. So if I go first and I want to rent a place, I mean, I understand there's a need for like a credit score, or, you know, how do I just go about renting a place? Can I just rent a place, pay monthly? How does it work?
Okay, so it depends on your status. So in terms of renting a place, you can rent a place from somebody you know. People do that.
Okay.
It's at your own risk. Or you can go through an estate agent. Now, going through an estate agent is safer for everyone because there are checks and there are laws that would keep everybody safe. Also, with going through an estate agent, the first thing they'll ask is, where's your pay slip? Because they want to see that you're able to afford the place. In some cases, they'll ask you to show 3 months pay slip. If you can't show 3 months pay slip, you might need to get someone who will be your guarantor, so that if you don't pay your rent, there's somebody who will pay for you. Or
interesting,
if you save up enough money and you have enough money, you can show is it 3 or I think it's 6 months rent up front, because everything is quite tight, and it follows a lot of laws that govern a lot of things. No one wants to rent a place to somebody who can't pay, because you can't really kick the person out. There are laws that protect tenants as well. So because of that, landlords, estate agents will try to be will do their due diligence to make sure no loose ends.
Interesting. Okay. So this is, you know, painting a good picture of what we need to be aware of, what people who are interested in leaving need to be aware of, need to be mindful of before they leave. So now let's go to the next section where we talk about the qualifications required. And I see a question in the chat room, you know, that kind of lends itself to that. With my BSc, we've seen from the list that if you don't have a bachelor's in education, a bachelor's degree in education, you don't qualify. So you need that. If you have a BSc and, for example, and a postgraduate certificate in education, and a TRCN number, that helps. But what is your status when you arrive as a when you put that side by side with the qualifications required for a teacher in the UK?
Okay, so you're coming from Nigeria with your PGC, your bachelor's degree in education, and your, what do you call it, TRCN?
TRCN is the Teachers Registration Council number.
Okay,
which is like your QTS number in the UK.
Okay, that number, when you, with those qualifications, when you come into the UK, you will be known as an unqualified teacher. You are not qualified. No.
Really?
Yes. You are not qualified till you have your QTS.
Qualified teacher
because
status.
QTS means qualified teacher status. And you don't have that. You haven't got that number. So you cannot just automatically transfer it. No. Even as far back as 21 years ago when I moved, I had a PGDE from Unilag. I had to come back and do a PGCE here. And I was also doing a master's here, but that didn't mean anything. I had to still do
wait, pause, slow down. Your master's in education,
yes,
does not give you a QTS. You still have to do that QTS, the postgraduate certificate.
The PGC, yes.
To get the qualified teacher status. So the fact that I have a master's in education does not qualify me as a teacher in the UK. Got it. So what does that mean, therefore? What's the implication of this coming in as an unqualified teacher? Does that mean I'm only a teaching assistant level, or what does that mean?
No. So you will be an unqualified teacher. You most probably will have your own class, but you will have a mentor within the school of which you're going to have to go through. You're going to have to prove that you understand, you can apply, and you pass the teaching standards.
Right.
So everything you do has to show that, which means you probably have quite a number of observations to check your progress and your growth. It could be various members of the school leadership team. Your mentor would also be checking in with you. And it also depends on the route that you're going to use. So I'm using my experience and plus what I've seen recently. So my experience, I did my PGCE while I was working in a school. So I was unqualified. I was teaching in a school. I had my own class. I had my own teaching assistant, but I had a mentor who was checking through the standards that had actually passed everything. I didn't have to go for any lectures or anything. I was learning on the job. Right. And it was quite difficult because I was doing what I knew best. And then I would be corrected. I would be given points to improve. I'll be asked to shadow or watch somebody else teach something. And there are various things that come under those standards. There's the teaching and learning, and the curriculum is one part. But things like your behavior management, your inclusive planning, how you implement an inclusive classroom, all those things were in the standards. So you could be passing your teaching and learning, your knowledge, but if you're not passing your behavior management, then you're still not passing. You get what I mean?
Wow.
So that was the route I came in through. That was the route I used. There are other routes here, which is teach first, whereby you are in a class with a qualified teacher. The qualified teacher is actually your mentor. So you're more or less like the TA in the class. But as time goes on, you'll be teaching 25% of the time, then it moves to 50%, then it moves to 75% of the timetable for the week. And you'll be learning at the same time. You will also have an external tutor coming in to see you. So you have your mentor in school and your external tutor.
Who pays for all of this training? Because it sounds like it sounds great, but it sounds to me like a lot of money is being spent, and I'm wondering who is spending this money.
Okay, so the government will pay for it.
Right.
It's the government who pay for it. So from what I'm hearing and from what I'm seeing, the government will pay for that
training,
QTS assessment route within the school.
Okay.
Hence why I'm thinking you will come in as unqualified. So I won't be paying you the full teacher salary.
Right.
Okay. You will not be starting on okay, I put it this way. When I came from Nigeria, I'd already taught for 5 years, 4 years, 5 years, can't remember. But when I came here, I was put on M1, which is the
like
first,
level 1.
Yes, level 1.
Right.
Because I was unqualified. I started from there. And then when I got my QTS, then I was able to move to the next level and that way and that way and that way. In the past, you could move up the M1, M2, M3, M4 just as the years of experience gathered.
Increase. Okay.
But it's changed. As your years of experience increase, you also need to pass your targets from your performance management to know if you move to the next level.
Right.
And you cannot move levels every year. You can only move levels every 2 years.
Okay, so it's like they slowed down the process for us to gain more experience.
Yes, yes.
Wow. Wow, guys, man, I hope you're hearing these things. And, you know, I love, that's another reason why I love to hear, to listen to Ivie, because it's practical experience. It's not just, oh, this is what you need to do. It's from the horse's mouth, you know, as we say. And I'm grateful for all of these insights, because it's clarifying the route for many people who are on live with us now and who will also watch this later on. So now if we go to the school's expectations. So you talked about lesson observations, you talked about mentorship, you talked about, you know, knowledge of the curriculum, teaching and learning, the teaching standards. That just sounds like a lot. So talking to us, like, you know, we who are interested, what are the basic skills? What do we need to know? What do we need to know about the applicable work skills? And even what you said about the behavior management. Are there any cultural nuances we need to be aware of in terms of behavior management? Okay.
Yes. I'm just taking myself back to my first classroom. I think the way I used to swallow painkillers because of a headache.
Oh my goodness.
Just believe the way the children behaved. But the discipline we have in Nigeria is very different to the discipline here. Here, you cannot shout at the children. You can't shout at the children. You can't smack the children. You can't punish the children. You can't withhold their playtimes from them. One of the greatest insights I've seen to managing the behavior of the children in your class is actually building relationships with them. Because it is until you know that particular child, what makes them tick, you know how to draw the child in before things will work out. So you can imagine me brand new coming to the country. I just used to look at the children like this, Lord have mercy, where did they come from? I mean, a couple of times I actually went into the cupboard and I cried. Because I'm like, where do I start from? What do I do? They don't listen. And that was just because I didn't know. I mean, me then and me now completely different. Because I teach from reception all the way to year 6. So now I know how to change different styles for different classes with different children. So that is very, very important. I know there are lots of seminars, a lot of things about behavior management. I'll look at some other things because, like I said, the greatest insight and the secret to managing the behavior in your class is actually you. Because there's a book that says when the adult changes, everything changes, either negatively or positively.
That's right.
So that's the first thing you have to understand. And children can learn in an environment that is rowdy or unsettled. So those are the things you have to put in place first, down to the way you speak. I tend to speak fast naturally because I'm just, but I had to learn to slow down what I say, fully pronounce my words. Just to go, Miss, what did you say? What? I don't
With
understand
our
you.
accent, oh, with our
Yes,
accent.
I mean, my accent hasn't changed. It's still the same thing. I mean, a couple of times I used to tell the children, "Come here, Joe." They'll be like, they'll laugh. They me to think the African thing again, and they'll laugh. But it's just the way we learned to play together. Obviously, I wasn't that confident when I first started, and I wouldn't do that. Um, Down to safeguarding. There's so many things around safeguarding. Obviously, you can't bring out your phone and be looking at your phone in the class where the children are there. You can't just say, "Oh, your sister's around the corner. She wants to come and drop something with you." It's so many things. I mean, I'm telling you these things because these are the mistakes I actually made. I made those mistakes. Oh, I can come and collect this in school. No, you can't do that. They're different posters. Even if I come downstairs or I come out and I can get the person through the door into my class, I shouldn't be doing that because I don't,
Right.
no one knows anything about that person but me. So those are other things, all the safeguarding rules. Culturally, at home, if a child does something, you can pull their ear, you can smack the child. Here, if a child says that, that's an issue. It's
you
a
probably
very,
get
very
deported
big
or
issue.
something because
You'll
you're on
get
a
it, but you
serious.
just get one. Yeah, but
You get a warning.
these are things that add up. These are things you see and you think, "Oh, it's okay." It's not okay. These are things. I mean, there were some situations where you have parents' evening. And I had some Nigerian African parents, and I'll say, "Oh, your child did X, Y, Z," and the child gets a slap.
Woo.
I have to report that. I can't say, "Well, the child wasn't behaving properly or they too were not performing, so it's okay." I can't do that. There are all those things that culturally, it's okay. No, here you have to report everything. You have to report everything because years down the line, the child can say, "Oh, I developed an earache, or I'm partially deaf, or I'm hard of hearing in one ear, and it's as a result of slap or so many slaps." So they will go back and check things. I've had to check reports and things that I wrote 2003. We literally had to look for the records because any records you keep on children must stay archived for 25 years.
Wow.
It's the law here. You have to keep it in case anything happens. You can go back and refer to that. So the all these things, class assembly, where you have to take the 30 children in an assembly on your own. You write the script, you make sure the children, I mean, we do that for Christmas concerts and things.
I'm sorry, Paul, say that again. You said 30 children, as in 30 in one class.
Yes.
Wow.
You have 30 children in a class. Not all schools have a teaching assistant in a class.
Wow.
So it might just be you and those 30 children.
That's in primary. And in secondary?
It's 30 children in a class too, but you know, they move around classes. Yes.
Wow.
Down to the budgeting of the schools. You might have one TA that is for the year group or one teaching assistant for two classes. And the TAs work strictly to time. They're not contracted to work as long hours as you, the teacher. So they might start at 8:30 or 9 o'clock, 3:30, they're out. So your cutting, your sticking, your photocopying, your arranging, your craft is all on you. So you have to.
We have to do that ourselves.
Yes.
Interesting.
So those are the things you need to quickly get a grasp of. I never knew how to photocopy a thing before I came into this country. Well, I never had to. But
yes.
I had to photocopy, learn to scan, learn to fax, learn to do my projector myself, learn to configure all those things. Yeah, it's down to you. You learn as you come in. You learn.
Of course. So it sounds to me like we need to evaluate our own skills. We need to evaluate our sense of readiness. Are we truly ready for this adventure? Are we truly ready to say, right, this is a great opportunity that has been presented where you have the opportunity to travel, to work in an international space, to earn some money because, of course, based on the exchange rate, £1,000 is a lot more. I mean, it means a lot, you know, to us and can do a lot for us. But it also sounds to me, from what I'm hearing you say, it sounds to me like there are a lot of skills that we need to have before, you know, we consider leaving. There's a lot we need to be working on ourselves now. I'm hearing you photocopy, do your projectors, do your classroom management, a sense of organization. And I mean, from my experience working in international schools in Nigeria and, you know, one outside the country, yes, there are lots of skills we need to learn and to do ourselves. One of the things we advocate for is that you need to know your curriculum. So for those who may not have taught using the national curriculum directly, this is the time to do all your research, go on the UK government's website, look at the expectations, read the curriculum expectations, and find out more. Now, that's not our topic for this webinar. So if you do want us to support you with that, book a consultation, visit our website. The admin, I'm sure they'll put the link in the chat room. Visit the website, schedule a consultation. We do 30-minute consultations, and we'll be able to support you on an individual basis. Because what I'm hearing you say, Ivie, is I love your practical, you know, examples and all, and thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing the mistakes you made and things we should avoid. But I also hear every situation is not, I hear it is not a one-size-fits-all situation.
No.
You said something about different schools having different expectations, and also what do we need to look out for those of us who are interested in leaving, in terms of the jobs, the schools where we should work? What do we need to look out for? If we have young children, do we consider house, where we live, where we work, you know, anything to consider in that regard?
Okay, so this is when everybody has to get their pen and paper ready. So the way the England output is projected is everything kind of happens in the Southeast, just like everything kind of happens in Lagos and everything kind of happens on the island. It's the same. You will say everything happens in the Southeast and happens in inner London. So there's inner London, Greater London, and the fringe. Those three things are important because you get paid on those three different levels. If you live if you work, where you live now is irrelevant. I'm talking of where you work.
Okay.
If you work in inner London, you get something called London waiting allowance. So you get a little bit more than someone who lives, sorry, somebody who works in Greater London. And somebody in Greater London gets a little bit more than somebody who works in the fringe. So the starting salary for inner London could be £28,000. I'm not sure if that's correct. £28,000. Somebody who is working in outer London will be getting 24. Somebody who works in the fringe will be getting 22.
Right.
It works out like that. Those three categories are very important. Now, inner London is, I'll explain that. It's the circumference around the M25, and I'll go through that. It's like having Third Mainland Bridge going all around Lagos, and it's all the people within the circle that are inner London. But as much as inner London pays more, the cost of living costs a lot more in inner London.
Absolutely.
Yes, and so on and so forth in different places. So that's the first thing. The next thing is the school you work in. Over here, we've got something called the Office of Standards in Education, Ofsted. Now, Ofsted is the magic word everyone looks out for. And Ofsted rates your school on everything. From the attendance of the children. And just to clarify, I'm talking about government schools here. I'm not talking about private schools.
Absolutely.
So Ofsted also rates schools to outstanding, good, and requires improvement. I'm sure from those names, you know what is what.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
so there's no more satisfactory. What Ofsted is now telling us, because there used to be satisfactory.
Yes, but it's no longer satisfactory. It's now requires improvement.
Meaning now, the minimum is that you must be good.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
So if a school has the status of RI, requires improvement, the school won't be shut down, but there will be a lot of pressure on the leadership and the teachers. Because what Ofsted is saying is, we've come to see your school. Your school requires a lot of improvement in a lot of things, which means you need to do those things to get yourself up there. You don't have a choice. You have to do that. You have all sorts of people coming into your school. Now, when Ofsted comes to visit your school, Ofsted gives you less than 24 hours. They literally call you and they say to you, we're coming to visit you tomorrow. And this is what we're going to have a deep dive on. And that's it. They call you at about before 12 o'clock and tell you we're coming to do this. Then they call you 30 minutes later and have a 2-hour conversation with your head of your leadership team. And when they do that, there's something we put on our on websites, and it's called your school evaluation form. When you put that on your website, Ofsted checks that. And then they say, oh, you've rated yourself as a good school, or you rated your school as outstanding. Okay, we're coming to check. And they give you literally less than 24 hours, and then they're coming to your school. Obviously, if they come and what they saw online doesn't match what they see, they'll downgrade you.
So that's the whole process of evaluation. Does that involve everyone in the entire school? As a teacher, am I supposed to know the Ofsted standards? Am I supposed to contribute to the school's evaluation process?
Yes, everybody contributes to it. It's down to the cleaners, the caretaker, everybody is involved. Because when Ofsted comes as well, Ofsted speaks to everybody based on your role in the school. Of course, Ofsted is not going to ask the caretaker about the curriculum, but the Ofsted will ask the caretaker about things on safeguard, on health and safety. Yes, those things will come into place. So everything that you have down on your school evaluation form is called your self. Everybody has a part to play in it. There are many stakeholders involved, down to your parents, down to the children. They're questioned. Amazing. And then they find out those things. Now, so you who is coming in brand new, you need to be aware of the status of the school you're going to, i.e. knowing how much work will be required of you.
Amazing, amazing. That's a lot of insight. And again, this sounds like a point of, okay, if I get the opportunity, and I encourage everyone listening to this now or later, if you do get the opportunity, it is important to find out what these Ofsted standards are. It is important to understand them for yourself. And if you do want additional support and help, again, book a consultation. I wonder if the link has been posted in the chat room. Visit our website, schedule a time where you can have the conversation one-on-one. But it's important for you to do your homework first. Go on the website, Google the Ofsted process, find out the teaching standards, there are like 20-something of them, and be able to apply them as an individual. So I hear the need to develop ourselves, in preparation for Japa. We need to develop ourselves. We can't just go with the skills, the knowledge and skills we currently have, but we need to develop ourselves. And I see a question in the chat room. Someone is saying, okay, I'm a special needs practitioner, so I'm not really a class teacher. Do I have a chance at this? What must I be a teacher to come and support special needs? Can't I just be a special needs person? Really?
You need to be a qualified teacher, yes.
Wow.
You cannot be, if you want to work in a school. Now, again, don't get me wrong. There are jobs you can do. You can be a consultant. You can be a case worker. You can be a case or a support worker in a local authority. i.e., what are the local authorities in Nigeria?
Local government area.
Yeah, that's what I
in
mean.
a district. Yes.
Yes. So you can be a special needs case worker or support worker in Etiosa, for example.
Yes.
But you are not a teacher. You will not be paid as a teacher, and I don't think you'll be able to qualify for this scheme. No.
Right.
Yes,
So
specifically asking
for this,
teachers.
yes. Right. Yes. Okay. So we won't be able to qualify for this scheme unless we do something with, we have to get a teaching qualification and get a TRC, and then we can be included on this track.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
Got it.
A lot of younger colleagues in Nigeria, some of them are teaching. So, and I keep saying to them, make sure you get your teaching qualification. It's the basic thing. Get that. And with that, there's so many branches you can go to. But if you don't, you're holding yourself back. Even if you own a school, even if owning a school in Nigeria, I understand now you have to have some form of teaching qualification. Even if you're rolling in millions, if that's not there, you will get stuck here and you will not be able to progress. It's the basic thing. I have caseworkers I work with in local authority. They're not teachers, but their salary is not compared to what teachers will get.
What teachers get. Wow. Yeah. Wow. A lot to think about. A lot to think about. And one of the things even coming to my mind, I'm thinking, wow, okay, there's some people I'm going to tell, don't bother, just stay. When the people who have jackpot have gone, find those gaps and fill in those gaps. Because clearly some people do have the experience. They've worked in these international schools. They understand the national curriculum. You know, they have experience with even traveling abroad on holidays. They visited schools. So they will be able to leverage this opportunity. But then that creates an alternative opportunity for those teachers who are here, who can fill in those gaps in these, you know, international schools. But again, you still need the skills. You need the knowledge and skills to be able to fit in to those gaps. Now, I want to just share that for us at ISED, we're a college of education, and so we can provide some training, some support training in specific skills and all that you can use and share. Okay, I'm not seeing the chat in the group. I'm not seeing the admin. If admin, can I ask that you post the link, the website link to the pages and to the services page, please, so that those who are watching can see the links. Thank you very much. So we provide these services, you know, for trainings and all that you can use. We have international partners and all of that. But again, that's not why we're here. We're really here to say, okay, what else do I need to know? What else do I need to know? One of the things when we were talking about this earlier, one of the things you mentioned was about budgeting and how you had to manage your finances and how you just sometimes you would spend all the money before, you know, you went somewhere and it was just, you know, crazy. How did you manage your money? How did you overcome your initial inhibitions?
I will always say that people should be financially intelligent. Don't even think that it's okay, I can get that. No. First things first, for me as a Christian, I pay my tithe. My salary comes. Once my salary comes, I put my tithe. I can do it online anyway, so my tithe goes by direct debit first to my church. Okay. Then my rent goes. Then my feeding. It takes a bit of calculating. What do I need? What do I not need? Of course, you know, because we have two different types of weather. You have to clothe yourself for two different types of weather. What else you need to remember? Right, again, how you get into work. If you have a car, you have to buy, okay, backtrack. If you need to go to work, you can go by bus. You get your bus, you can do it weekly or monthly. Obviously, where the weeks where there's half term, you don't have to do it monthly, but you can go by bus and it takes longer. You can go by train, which might be shorter time, but a lot more expensive. Now, when you drive, if you drive, obviously you're not going to come straight away and be driving. you can get a, I mean, to get a car is not, you can get a car, but along with your car, you have to do your theory test, then your practical test. Your practical test, you can't say, my husband will teach me or my brother will teach me. You probably need to go and learn from a
At the
driving
driving
school.
school. Wow.
Yes, and I think the lessons are that between 30 to 40 pounds an hour. Some people say you need 30 hours or 40 hours. I don't know. Did mine a long time ago. And I used to drive before I came. It's a long story for another day. But that's there. So even if when you get your car, you pay your insurance, isn't it? Like we did in Nigeria, you also pay your road tax. Now all these things add up to your bills for the end of the month. If your money is plenty, you can do it annually or you do it every month. So these are things that the 23.99 is all adding to the bill of every month you're going to be paying. And then you also have to fuel your car. So all those things are all involved, but you work it out. You have to work it out based on your budget and based on how much is coming towards you. And one thing I was thinking about when I was thinking about this topic, I'm going to say this out loud. If you've got a skill, go and learn a skill. Learn to cook in bulk, learn to braid hair, or learn to sew. Those three things can give you additional income for you. Very important. Very, very important. There's a lady I met who actually, I did my hair this morning. And she worked in a bank. She came to do a master's. She jackpot in her own right. And she said, before I came, I learned how to do makeup and do hair because I knew I wouldn't get a job straight away and I needed to be able to survive. And those are the things she's been doing and she's been using aside from whatever is coming through.
A job.
Yes. Because we're born entrepreneurs. We know how to make money. It's not just in Nigeria. Here, like I said, your salary is your salary. 1p extra is not coming in. What's in July is coming in November. Don't worry about that. It's the same thing. But if you've been able to get all these other extra things with you, it's an added advantage. Even if you're not doing anybody else's here, you can do your own here. It's saving you that money for yourself.
Yes.
Right. So all these things are important. If you've got a grown-up daughter, a grown-up child, teach her these things. Both of you learn, go to wherever it is. And she said to me, I actually went to learn it before I came because my sister-in-law here sat me down and really put me through. Do this, don't do this, do this, don't do this. She came first before her husband and her children came.
So the same advice that you're, giving, following through, helps those who are non-teachers to be able to settle in.
Oh, yes. We're talking about the school culture and what goes up in school and the school culture. It's the same thing in other industries, things you have to do. You're going to have to learn it. Coming in as a midwife, coming in as a doctor, you're all coming in as unqualified, all of everybody, because you don't have
you grow
certification here. Yes.
Interesting.
Another thing I was going to talk about is the culture. The culture here, you just learn to understand on hidden rules. Always be polite, follow through with things.
Yes.
And timely. Timely. Follow through with the time. Your 3 o'clock is your 3 o'clock. There's no African time. There are times you need to go out with your colleagues after work, and they go, it's your shouts, which means you're buying the drinks for everybody and you're paying.
Wow.
Yes, because you can't go there and go, I'm not paying. What did I drink? I only drank what? You just have to go with the flow. So 2 things: either you don't go, or I've got an engagement, I really can't make it today, and you excuse yourself nicely, or you go and you have to pay for everybody.
Wow.
Simple as that. And you can't, because people watch and they'll pass comments. It's not like it's Jackie's turn. Jackie shouts and Jackie pays drinks for everybody, and you take out of those drinks, and after that you slip away.
You can't do that.
You have to pay your own, and then you can go. So those hidden things, those things are just what's in there, where everybody just gets on with it.
Amazing, amazing. These, wow, thank you. Thank you very, very much. There's so much to think about, so much to process. I can just I can almost hear the sighs of people going, okay, oh, lots to think about, lots to consider. So I want to again go back to finances before I take the question I'm seeing in the chat room.
Yes.
It keeps ringing in my mind. So if I go in with all my years of educational experience and all my degrees, I go in and I'm going in at like entry level.
Yes.
How do I progress? How do I move up? I hear you say I need to get the qualified teacher status. Okay, after that, what do I do? How do I, because we're very entrepreneurial as Nigerians and Africans. We can't stay on the same level. We did not come to London to count London Bridge. So how do we move up that ladder?
Okay, so based on your experience and the skills you have, so I can be a teacher on M3. I can also apply if there's a vacancy. I can apply to be the head of department of English or literacy. It's called TLR, Teaching and Learning Allowance.
Okay.
So I can have my main pay scale, and I have my TLR running side by side. And TLRs, it goes from I think 1,500 to about £4,000 a year. So I can add that on. But those things, the vacancy has to be available. Right. You need to put yourself forward, and you have to put in an extra bit. Again, over here, as time goes on, as you're developing yourself, just as everyone comes here and the first thing they want to do is to buy a house to get on the property ladder. It's the same way you should think about, I'm here, I need to develop myself, my career. Sometimes you might need to spend a little bit of money on yourself to pay for a course that you want to do. Now, pay for a course that you want to do is not just to have the certificates. We have lots of certificates. Just I have this, I have this, I have this. You need to also be implementing it. It needs to be making a difference for your line manager to want to put you forward for something or to encourage you for something. Sometimes the availability might not be in your present school. You might need to apply outside. But that also comes into play. So to rise up that ladder, to get up there, these are things you're going to have to do. And no one will tell you, it's time, do this, or it's time to do that. No, you're going to have to do that research for yourself. Just as you said that ISED does, get yourself a coach, get yourself someone who's worked up and can help you and direct you. I have at least 3 or 4 people, blackhead teachers I have that I go to for services going, okay, I want to apply for this role. Based on what you know about me, based on my qualifications, my CV, do you think I'm ready? Sometimes yes, sometimes no, you're not ready for this now because you haven't done X, Y, Z. Why don't you do X, Y, Z first and then start looking and see if any vacancies come up? And then, of course, there's the coaching through the interview, because the key things they want to hear in the interview. There are things now they will ask you, standard in any interview. Those things will come up and you'll be like, what do I say there? So it's always good to do that homework.
To have your coaching and mentoring sessions.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Really important. I never gone for any job interview without running up saying, I need to do this. Can you, what am I supposed to do here? Because don't forget, you're in the class and you're in the class with those 30 children, and it takes a lot physically and mentally.
It does.
So you always say, oh, where am I going to have time to do all of this? If you want to progress, you have to build in that time. You have to plan in that time for yourself. Say, okay, I'll give myself 3 years to settle in. And then I will be doing these soft skill courses at the same time. I'll be doing all these other bits and pieces to get myself, because
ready.
It's what you need to do.
Amazing, amazing stuff. Wow. Okay, surprisingly, we've hit the 1 hour mark already, and we said we'll try to keep this to an hour, but we've got a couple questions. They've been sent to me privately, so I'll read them. So this one is talking about boarding, to say if I'm a teacher and you know, I work in a boarding school, will my children be able to board? You know, is there anything specific I need to know or do differently to get a job at a boarding house?
Okay, so boarding houses are strictly with the private schools, which means fee paying. If there's a vacancy, and there's often just a vacancy for a house mistress, it depends on what the role that is available. And even if you might be the house mistress, you might be your house might not be big enough to take everybody. And even your child will be independent. I mean, you might get some discounts, but your child will still pay.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Because it is the private school. Government schools do not run the boarding houses.
No,
Everybody goes, go home.
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay. Another one says, I hear you, but does this mean my senior leadership status in Nigeria means nothing without my QTS? And then when I do get my QTS, will my years of experience working in Nigeria have any impact on my income and the role I am assigned?
Okay. So being a senior leader in Nigeria is a senior leader in Nigeria.
Right.
It's not a senior leader in the UK. It depends, but more than likely it will not count.
Yeah,
and again, what I wanted to just say to everyone to be prepared for, you might come in your middle 40s or even 50. Your immediate line manager might be 27 years old, way younger than you. So you've also got that to live with and to work with. And we know how we feel in Nigeria. I'm like,
yes, there's no Auntie Joy. Is Joy? Would you mind? There's no Auntie Joy or anything
all
like that.
On first name and basis. And my immediate boss is much younger than me. But I know even culturally, I found it very strange to call my boss by her first name.
Yes.
And every time she came to my room to talk to me, I'll stand up. She said, why are you doing that? I was like, because that's how I've been brought up and that's how I've been trained. It's just, I mean, I won't say she didn't like it. She loved it because she never set it down. But that's it. Coming in as a senior leader, it's not useless. It would help you because, of course, you have a lot more experience than somebody who's been teaching for 1 year.
Absolutely.
But in terms of if you would be converted onto your pay, possibly not.
Yeah, I agree with you. I see that from experience with other practitioners. Your experience in Nigeria is fantastic. However, it has to be benchmarked against the standards in the country you are going to. So if your experience, for those who are interested in going, you are not going as a qualified teacher status. So all of that previous experience does not even hit level 1. And therefore you all have to start from level 1. However, I think because of your experience, you'll be able to make progress very quickly. And depending on, you know, the school you work at, more especially in the fringes, they'll be able to see that, this guy, this babe has value to add. These teachers are, you know, great. So let's recommend them for that course so they quickly move up into a management position. But again, so your experience is your experience. No one can take that away from you. However, any country you go to, UK, Ghana, South Africa, you need to go in and enter into that system and into that funnel. I mean, I remember many years ago, I was facilitating a course for a friend who was ill, couldn't make it to a banking course, and someone who was a senior manager in a different bank. It was a customer care training thing. I took a section. And she was sent in to go and do the foundation training because she was coming into a new bank. She had to go to join the entry-level training session so that she would understand the culture of the bank and the climate. So it's not necessarily a demotion thing. It's more about standardization, the host country ensuring that you meet the minimum requirements. You are not just coming in with your own cultural nuances and your preferences, but you're coming in to meet the expectations, and then they can guarantee that you can deliver against those expectations. Wow, wow, wow. This man, this has been a lot of food for thought. So I want to ask, are there any final words, like any key, if we were to summarize, just some key take homes to say, guys, if you don't remember anything else, remember this as you strive to, Japa. Before you give your thoughts, all I want to say is it is important for us to do our research. As educators, we encourage our children to do research, but we don't often do enough research ourselves. One of our core values at the ISED, I said, is research. Find out the information for yourself. Learn how to Google. Learn how to Google with Google Scholar. Learn how to research so that you get facts and not speculations or perceptions. You get the authentic facts, and you can, you can move forward in the right way. So that would be my final word, to say, whatever it is, please research, get the information you need to make sure you achieve the goals that you desire. So, Ivie, any final words for our audience tonight?
Moving to a new country, starting afresh, it can be quite daunting, but of course, with God, all things are possible. But the one thing I'll say is get someone to hold your hand through that process. Down to remembering to bring your transcript, remembering to get your results from school, all those things, you need to have somebody. I had somebody, a friend of mine did it for me. She said, don't forget, go and get your fingerprints at Alagmo then.
Yes, the police check. Yes, your police check.
Get someone so that you don't come here and then you're calling back home to say, oh, can you try and get this for me from Ivie? Can you try and get this for me from Uniben? Go through it and know when you're here, this is it. You made that step. The other thing I would say is don't look back. If you've decided this is what you want to do for whatever reasons, don't look back.
Wow.
One last thing. If you've got children, I beg of you, move with people who would give you the right advice for your children. Don't say, I'm in the UK now. Believe you me, there are schools and there are schools. Don't say, I'm in the UK now. There's a school down the road. My children can go there. No. As we always strive for excellence in everything we do, let's pass that on to our children too. So our children, we've come here as a parent, most people do, I'm coming here for my children, for their future.
Yes.
Make sure that future is mapped out for them. It's not just, oh, we're going to get a house and we're going to be living in the UK and the exchange rate is XYZ. No. I'm coming here, I'm coming to do this, then my children are going to be the best they're going to be, and they're going to get the very best. This sacrifice I'm making, because it is sacrifice. So those are my two things. Remember that. Don't just, for this sake, the lady who does my hair, every time I see her, so what are you doing with the children this holiday? She say, I said, yes, you know me, I will be constantly on your case for those children. That's just my take.
Wow.
More than a take.
Wow. No, thank you so much. I remember when our children were younger, where we would plan the holidays and say, okay, we're going to Legoland, we're going to this museum, that museum. So even the holidays are learning opportunities. Yes, so that exposure. you see exposure. Absolutely. They see the countries, they learn, they develop themselves and not just go shopping and eating. every holiday. And the children, you know, it's amazing how their cultural awareness changes, how their knowledge and understanding of the world just grows just by visiting museums and doing certain things. It's been amazing. And honestly, I really thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing again so freely with us. I mean, guys, if you have any comments, let's appreciate Ivie. She's been so helpful, so open. Thank you so much for sharing. If there are any questions, we'll take them. We'll have a maximum of, we'll just take maybe 5 more minutes because we've gone over. I know people get tired. I get tired when webinars are too long. I'm just like, okay, they should stop talking now. We're done. So if you do have any questions, I see the links in the chat room. Just copy it and paste it on your browser right now. Copy it and save it somewhere. You can send us an email at admin@isedafrica.education, and someone will reach out to you. We'll send either of us, you know, a message. If you need to book a service, click on the link directly. Thank you. It will just open it so you store the page. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for your time. And for those who are interested in jackwearing, we wish you all the best on your journey. We pray you have a good journey. And, you know, we pray that all goes well. And for those of us who are staying behind, we pray that we also have a good journey and we develop this knowledge and skills we need to fill in the gaps that, you know, might be created in our country. Because yes, some people are called to go out there and make a difference, but some of us are called to remain and to also still make a difference. Someone is saying, could we virtually request for Mrs. Ivie's support when we arrive? Absolutely. Send a message, book your consultation. She will be able to support you when you arrive. Thank you, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Right.
Good night.
Good night.
Enjoy.
Bye.
Bye.